It's the new game that's sweeping the nation. We call it, Was It Great or Were You Eight? This is a thing that Alonso has brilliantly come up with to look back at films that we still cling to nostalgically, like through that prism of, were they truly, truly great movies, or were they just really important to us in our childhood and we just assumed that they were great? So we thought we'd go back and look at movies that came out when we were 8 to see if they hold up. So we're going to alternate week by week. We're doing one from when Alonso was 8 this week, and you picked
The Bad News Bears, which I mean, depending on when it came out, I might have been 9, but I mean, we're going to be a little loose with that.
It is a bad mother. Es un bandido. If the guy can play ball, he can play ball. I mean, let's get him on the team.
A movie that I definitely saw in the theater, although I think I might have seen it like back in the day before VCRs and cable and stuff. It was not uncommon for studios to reissue their hits. So I don't know that I saw this one the first time around, but I think I saw it within a year or so when it came out again. Also, weirdly enough, I saw this terrible knockoff version called Here Come the Tigers, which was a Sean S. Cunningham movie made before Friday the 13th, but it's garbage. Don't worry about it. So The Bad News Bears from the great Michael Ritchie. He directed this after Smile and before Semi-Tough, which are like some of my favorite films of the 1970s. Walter Matthau stars as a washed-up minor league ball player who is now a pool cleaner in Southern California. He is paid by a dad to coach a little league team that seems to exist only because some parents sued because their kids were crappy at baseball and weren't allowed to play. And so now they've been able to. So like all of the worst players have been shoved into this one team that Walter Matthau is supposed to coach. He is more interested in collecting a paycheck and drinking and not really doing anything else. But when he sees how demoralizing it is for the kids to get wiped out in a game, they never even get an at bat because the other team is just walking all over them, and how seriously the other parents are taking this game, then he starts to like pay more attention and, actually try and teach these kids something about how to play baseball. He recruits Amanda, who is the daughter of a woman he used to date, whom he taught years ago how to throw a really good curveball, and gets her to play. He gets Kelly Leak, which is this local sort of bad boy juvenile delinquent who's always roaring up on his motorcycle, but who plays really good baseball. He gets him on the team as well. And as the Bears start coming together and becoming a better team, Buttermaker finds himself getting sucked into the gross adult world of forcing these kids to achieve and how winning is really important to them, until finally he realizes that it's nonsense and is like, fuck it, just go out there and have fun and do your best. This is, and that, I think it really kind of ties it to Smile, which is about teenage beauty pageants, which also kind of feeds into what is it the adults are getting out of this and are trying to push into them. So this is a movie that on its face seems like, oh, this is a kid's movie. It's about kids playing baseball, but it's really about adults, and adults being gross fuckers who like demand that their children perform and who vicariously like feel victory or defeat because of what their kids do, and subsequently treat them terribly because of it.
And this is still very true nearly 50 years later.
Oh, I bet.
I will say, as the parent of a child who has played sports, we are not like this. I'm sure no parents actually think that they are, but I have seen this. I've seen parents like yelling at their kids at hockey games. Where I live, baseball is a very, very big deal, and the parents take it very seriously. My kid does not play baseball. He thinks it's boring as shit, but he watched the Bad News Bears with me and was really into it and thought that they were funny. I forgot how racist Tanner Boyle is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, the whole, one of the main jokes of this movie is that, like, I think we'd never had a movie before where children were this profane.
Yeah.
In general, but yeah, Tanner everything is wrong.
Yeah, and so I thought Nick would like it because the kids do talk to each other this way, and because there is a realism, and they're not depicted as sweet, adorable little moppets. Like,
right.
They're obnoxious and they're rude to each other and they bully each other and they call each other names, and eventually maybe they'll come together and make it work. At its core, this is a very traditional underdog sports movie, but the way that they get into it through this realistic setting, I think really sets it apart in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the relationships between the kids and the adults. I mean, you have flat out alcoholism. Buttermaker is drunk for the vast majority of this film. You have Vic Morrow physically smacking his kid on the mound.
Do you know who his kid is in this movie?
I'm blanking. Tell me.
Brandon Cruz from The Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Yeah. And so, you see the absolute extreme intensity here in the way these people approach the game. But what's so cool is that each of the kids, you think is just going to be a distinct type, and that's it. And they do adhere to those few traits, but then they all evolve together as a team to make it work. And that little magic trick of functioning on both those levels at once in terms of character development is what makes this movie so cool for me. And Tatum O'Neal just finds the perfect tone at all times, because she has to be cute and young, but also have this world weariness about her at age not even 12. She's not even 12. But again, it was the 70s, and there was an independence that kids had back then that they do not have now. So you grew up faster.
And this vulnerability, you can tell, as much as she's annoyed by Walter Matthau, she sort of yearns for the fact for when he was dating her mom and paid attention to her, and was kind to her, and really wants to sort of rekindle that, even though he tells her in no uncertain terms that that's not something that he wants to do. But she was an Oscar winner at this point. So she can handle the dramatic heavy lifting, but she really nails it. Young Jackie Earle Haley as Kelly Leak is really good. I will say this movie is great and has always been great. And, it definitely captures something very unique, because there were 2 sequels that were terrible. That neither the Michael Ritchie and I think Matthau and Tatum O'Neal were not involved in. There was a TV show that was not particularly all that good. There
was a Linklater remake in 2005,
which seemed very after the fact and beyond the point at that point.
And softened. They didn't get what made the original so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this one really kind of holds up as like Blazing Saddles. It's the kind of movie that could really only be made at the moment where it could be made. Not that you couldn't do it today, but I think a lot of studios would shy away from it for one reason or another. But that, I think it was a gamble that they were willing to take. Also kind of kicked off the craze of throwing classical music into a contemporary movie.
Yes, all the Carmen throughout was stuck in my head the rest of the day. So we're going to do a poll on our community page. We'll put a link to it down below. Was it great, or was Alonso just 8? The Bad News Bears. And then I'll do a pick coming up very soon, and then we'll let you know then what your results were. But this is a fun thing we're going to do. So Alonso's movies are 1975, 76. Mine are 1980, 81. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So tune in for our whole series and enjoy.